Well, Tom York was supposed to be here tonight, but I haven't seen him sign in yet. So I want to turn to Shane Wilson, who owns Scale Trains. And Shane, I really appreciate you joining us this evening and looking forward to talking with you.
Well, thank you, Jim. Appreciate you having me this evening and appreciating all the folks who are tuned in online tonight.
Well, listen, can you tell us a little bit about your company, Shane, and what you're doing?
Sure. So we four of us that own the companies broke off and started our own business.
One second, Shane. Phil, can you get the camera on Shane?
There we are.
There we go. Okay, there we are. Excuse me.
No problem. So we embarked on the Scale Trains journey almost 9 years ago now, and we made the announcement of the company in November of 15 with the HO Big Blow turbine. We also had some 31,000 gallon tank cars, some Kit Classics box cars, the UP water tenders, and from there the line's grown substantially. We added N-Scale in 2016. We just announced within the last probably 6 months or so our first S-Scale products from the XMTH or S-Helper tooling. So the line, we focus mainly on locomotives and freight cars. We've done some containers. You'll see the line expand down the road into other product categories, but been pretty blessed. I think now we're well over 100 models between all three scales and all the brands that we have.
So really the scales that you're in right now are N, HO, and S?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Do you plan to go into O at all?
No, we had talked about doing O at one point, but as we went through the acquisition of the MTH, HO, and S tooling, we also inquired about the O tooling. And through that process, learned that market's probably not where we want to be, at least for the time being, not to say never. But we've got a lot on our plates. Just in that acquisition alone, we acquired over 800 tools. Last summer, we acquired Fox Valley models, their HO and HO and N tooling, and that's probably well over 100 tools in itself. So we're digesting that, as well as all the new products that we have in development. I think right now, somewhere between the research phase and the first run delivery, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 25 to 30 projects in play right now. So nothing coming on the O scale side anytime soon.
What do you find the same market in the three scales, or is N different than HO is different from S?
Markets are vastly different from each other. Demographics do change a little bit. You'll find the S scale market, is really more, I'll call it the two-rail toy train market rather than two-rail scale, although there's some shift there. N tends to appeal to an audience that doesn't have a lot of space, of course, because of the size. A lot of times, a lot of younger modelers will gravitate towards the N as well. But a lot of difference, but the great news is having products on all three scales allows us to spread out releases and not come back to the same customer over and over again.
Do you feel that, do all three scales, do you concentrate on cars in one or locomotives in another? I mean, is there that kind of difference, or is it just, it doesn't matter what scale it is, if you decide to come out with a car, you go to all three scales maybe?
No, far and away, HO is our biggest sales for us. N-Scale has really grown substantially to the point where we're seeing some releases that are approaching HO sales. S is really new for us. And we just closed our first pre-orders on our first freight car I believe it was in the end of February. We're closing our second freight car here at the end of this month. And still have a long way to go before we get to the S-Helper locomotives and also their track line. But, the expectations are a lot different for S than they are the other two scales.
In what way?
Sales volume, profitability, all those things, right, as you run a business. ballpark on an HO freight car, you might sell 3,000 to 5,000 on a full production run. N scales running probably in the 3,000 neighborhood. In S, maybe 1,000 cars. So you really have to kind of adjust. We kind of liken it to playing baseball, right? You're going to have singles and doubles and triples and home runs, and you got to have all those things. So we have 22 employees at this point. We acquired a new building, a new to us building last year, and so you got to keep a variety of product flowing through the pipeline to take care of all those operating expenses, as well as to keep bringing the new product to market.
Do you find that you're having trouble with parts suppliers, with material, with just getting the stuff you need to manufacture?
Hasn't been too bad. When in 21, probably the big challenge there was getting shipping containers actually to be able to actually get goods from the factory to us. And we saw costs there skyrocket. We were paying upwards of 6 times what a normal container would be door to door. Last year, we went through a pretty heavy shortage on electronics, which affected decoders and components for decoders. But that ironed itself out. That really kind of reared its ugly head at the end of March last year. And by the end of the summer, we'd gotten through that. So, there's the normal delays, things that happen. Like we got some new running samples on the all new N-Scale SD40-2 that should be out this summer. And this was a second round of running samples. Wasn't quite what we were hoping for. So we're going back to the factory and having them make some adjustments. But that's kind of the norm. And you'll run into things from time to time where new information comes to light after you make an announcement, and it never fails. We're always in the hunt for new photos and paint lettering diagrams and builders drawings and all that stuff. And even though we have a digital library, we've got in the neighborhood of 750,000 images on our server. We've got well over 1,000 books in the library. We actually bought all of Division Point Brass's research materials, which is hundreds of boxes of information. But it never fails when you need that one photo, that one diagram, and you can't make it. You make your best educated guess. And of course, the day you make the announcement, somebody's like, "Hey, I have a photo of that," and it's not right. So you have to go back and make some changes. But that's just par for the course. But we are. It just so happens this week we brought our entire product development team. We have 8 people on our development team that are spread out across the country. So they're all here in Tennessee this week, and we're actually working on some things to hopefully minimize when that happens and make the process run a little bit smoother.
You pretty optimistic about the future of the hobby?
Absolutely. If folks don't know, we embarked on what we call the road trip in late 22. We're visiting model railroad clubs in all 50 states. We bought a truck and a trailer, and my wife and I and our dog go out for periods of time. We did 5 weeks this past winter through the Gulf Coast. This summer, we've got a 9-week trip out to California and back. And it's pretty amazing as we get out. While COVID was horrible to go through, right? It was amazing what it did for the hobby and for the industry. A lot of growth from manufacturers across the board. And what we saw was, as folks turned to social, like, here we are tonight on this podcast. It connected a lot of people, brought a lot of new people into the hobby. We've seen the age demographic actually come down, which is amazing. As we go to these clubs, we're seeing a lot of new young people that are involved. When I say young, late teens all the way into their 30s, a lot more than we were seeing in the past. So, and we're really optimistic about the future. We're making significant investments in our company to make sure that we can deliver on that too.
Well, that sounds fantastic. What would you say is what's the new model that's going to come out that you're really, really looking forward to?
Wow, that's a good question. So we just recently shipped HO GP30s, Jeep 30. I'm telling them at home, there's my dog. HO GP30 is the GP30 is one of my favorite locomotives of all time. It's got that really brutish stance. I was really excited for that one to come to market. There's some things in the pipeline, unfortunately, that I can't talk about, but there's plenty of new product coming and some things that I've wanted to see for me personally. I'm an 80s modeler, and definitely see some things that'll fit the region I model and the railroads that I model. There's my dog's tail. You can see it in the background.
Yeah. Do you see your company ever moving into producing kits for structures, or are you going to stay with just trains?
We will definitely get into structures at some point. But we really need someone that can do that into product development for us. We have a great team that can do locomotives and freight cars, but you also have to have people with skill sets in other areas. And the good news is, since we moved into our new facility, we actually have an area designated for product development at some point. It's kind of set aside to be bring some folks in-house to help us expand into new product categories.
Well, I tell you, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. It's nice to hear somebody that's really optimistic about our hobby and sees a lot of young people coming into it, because a lot of the discussion centers around the age of this and the age of that, and people are dying off and so forth and so on. So it's really encouraging to me to hear somebody like you come on the show and talk about the younger people and the increase in seeing them want to be in the hobby.
You know, it's pretty amazing. If you go on to our YouTube channel and you look up the shorts, take a look there's a video that we shot in Arizona at a club, and there were about 4 or 5 guys under the age of 30 that set up all their BNSF locomotives around the roundhouse, and it was all of our equipment. Yep. They probably had, 30, 40 locomotives around that turntable, and super passionate, doing a lot of things to bring energy to that club and getting kind of a revival almost. You know, the club's a fantastic club, great club, no reason to make changes, but bringing some fresh blood in is helping, do some new things to the layout. And these guys are passionate and bringing in other new modelers as well.
Well, listen, other than the questions do you want to say anything particularly that I haven't asked you?
Wow. It's a pretty amazing hobby, and we've been really blessed to grow and be a part of that. We love what we do. We've got our team, I mentioned product development. Between that and product support, have folks that we are able to turn around questions pretty quickly, both by phone and by email. Got a great team all together that love what we do and enjoy bringing the product to market.
Anybody have any questions for Shane that you'd like to ask? Shane, I think you've covered it. I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, and it's so nice to hear the optimistic tenor of your conversation. Thanks again so very much.
You're welcome, Jim. Thank you. Having a great evening. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you.